So another Sunday here out at the hive. It's been 2 weeks since I've checked on the bees. Today's goal is just to put the honey super boxes on, and this is where the magic happens. So honey supers are smaller wooden boxes with 10 frames in them, and they're shorter frames to fit into the smaller box. And that's where the bees will go and put their honey, and that is where the box that I can finally take, if they do me right, I can finally take that box and harvest our own honey. And so the idea would be that we could maybe get 1 or 2 boxes high in this honey flow. We have a lot of blooms right now, and so this is good time for honey flow. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the honey supers on. I made that decision, obviously timing, and then I have one of my hives has 2 larger boxes tall. The bottom box is a lot of brood, larva, eggs, nectar, some honey, pollen. My second box on that hive, I think 8 out of the 10 frames are full of honey, with a little bit mixture of the pollen and other stuff, but and brood. But for the most part, that box has a lot of honey. Now, up until this point, people have been asking, like, can't you get your honey? When are your bees going to make honey? And that hive is getting to be 2 years old about, and I could have taken that honey last year, but I wanted them to survive during the winter with it, and they did great. They survived on that plus made more. So I still probably won't take those frames when it comes to harvest honey. I'm just gonna take the smaller frame, the smaller box with the smaller frames honey when that happens, like in the summertime. So my other hive is not quite ready for me to put an official honey super. My other hive, you'll see, is 1 box tall of the big box and 1 box tall of the small box. And I did that because before the winter, it was this last summer, they looked like they were running out of room, but it was getting to be too close to population decrease, but I didn't want them to swarm because they looked like they were out of room. So a suggestion from a friend was to reverse the boxes, so to put a honey super at the bottom and the bigger box at the top to get them through the population decrease in the winter, and that seemed to work fine. My smaller box didn't swarm, and they made it through the winter too. We lost a hive the winter before, so that worked. Last time I was here, I switched the boxes. So I put, instead of having the small box at the bottom, I ended up moving that to the top. And so that traditionally is for a honey super, but I'm not really using it on the smaller box. On one hive, I'm going to be using it to get honey, and on the other hive, I'm just using it for extra space at this point. So that one's gonna kind of be a funky hive, but we're here learning, and so it's not perfect in textbooks. So I'm gonna show y'all. I'm gonna be in there really quick. I'm just literally putting on the honey super and I'm leaving. So this is what I was talking about. You see the hive over there is the one I'm putting my honey super on. So there's 2 larger boxes. Those are filled with a combination of nectar, pollen, honey, and bees, and larvae, and all that good stuff. And that one over there is the funky one, where this one's only a year old. So we bought the bottom, we bought a nuke, and they've pretty much filled that bottom up one with the same thing: bees, honey, pollen, nectar, and little baby bees. And I had to, because they were kind of running out of room, but I didn't want to give them a whole, I wanted to give them a condominium to get ready as they were growing, and it was getting too close to the winter, instead of giving them a mansion to fill. And of course that mansion would have been harder for the elements and to keep their temperature regulated. So I had that white box at the bottom, and just 2 weeks ago I moved it back up to the top, and they'll fill that. And if they fill that, hopefully with more nectar, pollen, honey, baby bees, larvae, then I will add a traditional honey super onto that one. So I'm going to show y'all what the honey super looks like. Honey super box. This is going to fit on top. It's shorter. I don't know the dimensions. And it has shorter frames. The other ones in the longer boxes are like nearly double this in length. So they'll fill all this front and back with honey. They'll cap it, which actually turns it into honey. And then when the harvest is done, I will pull this whole box off and take off the caps and put it in a little spinner, and that's where the honey comes out. And then you literally can eat it right then. So this is the box, and I'm gonna just go take off the cinder blocks, take off the lid, and put that on top of here. Some people use queen excluders, and that keeps the queen. It goes in between in this case, the blue box on the taller hive and this super, and I have done that in the past. The queen excluder keeps the queen from coming up into this box and laying eggs, because you just want it to be all honey and not bees, or not little larvae. And so I will do that eventually, but to get started, I'm just going to put this on and get the bees used to and going up there. I'm sure people sometimes do it differently, but I've read both ways, and so I'm going to try this way this time to see if they'll kind of get their attention up there and not be deterred from going up there. So here we go. Bingo. All right, that's all I wanted to do today. So I'm gonna leave them alone. And I didn't bring my hive tool, mistake. So I used I don't know, a knife to open it. So bring your hive tool. And I didn't bring my stoker, but I wasn't really getting too much in there today, so I read it correctly and didn't use it, and it was just fine. So, but I probably should add that you should have your smoker and your hive tool and be safe and use your gear. So anyways, I hope y'all learned a little something today.